Welcome, everyone. This first meeting tonight at the Leesburg City Hall will be the Greater Leesburg Community Redevelopment Agency for Tuesday, May 26th, 2020. And I would like to have Commissioner Christian provide the invocation.
Okay. Can we all stand? Heads about Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We're living in such difficult times right now, but we trust you. We trust that you have this whole world in your hand. Tonight, we pray for our mayor, our city council, our CRAs, as we make decisions that will impact so many lives and bless so many families. We pray for our city. We pray for our government. We pray for our residents, our business owners. We pray that prosperity, God, will just run through our city. It will be a blessing to everyone. We pray for the less fortunate of our communities. We pray the decisions we make to that night will be impactful and positive in their lives. Pray for our country and this world. We pray, God, that you just in peace, and we send healing. We pray, God, that we no depressive thoughts, no suicidal thoughts, any of our minds. God, that we look to you, the author and finisher of our faith. We praise you in all these blessings we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, first item on our list is to approve the minutes. And the last meeting was held September 12th, 2019. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes, please?
Move for approval.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Roebuck? Commissioner Roebuck?
He's here. Look up on the screen.
Okay. Commissioner Hurley?
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Christian?
Yes.
Commissioner Coney? Commissioner Felix?
Yes.
Commissioner Roebuck?
I just joined, so I don't know what the question is.
Minutes for the Leesburg.
Yes.
Person Dennison?
Yes. We have one resolution tonight. Would somebody like to introduce this, please?
I introduce and recommend we read by title only, Madam Mayor.
Resolution of the Greater Leesburg Community Redevelopment Agency of the City of Leesburg, Florida, providing funding for the Home Improvement Grant Program for projects located within the Greater Leesburg Community Redevelopment Area and providing an effective date.
Move for approval.
Second.
Discussion on this item? I have one question. I want to know who within the 5-year time period of this is going to be there to be able to make sure that the items are taken care of as they're supposed to be before we write off the money year by year. Is there a process in place?
It's going to be whoever's in charge of the program, which is my office and the planning and zoning department.
Okay.
So
there is an
whoever's in
established-
Dan's seat or whoever's in my seat in 5 years, hopefully it's me or Dan.
Okay, so there is an established procedure for this?
Yes.
Thank you. That's
And
all.
it's very similar to the FSL. So
Okay.
before we issue money, we go out, we review what's done, and then we authorize it.
This way, I won't have to read it for the next two. Roll call, please.
I had one question. Sorry, Mayor.
Yes.
There are two amounts. I see the grant amount in the far right corner, far right column, but then there are two amounts before that, but there are no headers. What are those?
Let me, I'm delayed in pulling out my computer. Let me pull it up so I can get on the same page with you.
There are two different ranges.
Still scrolling here. Those are the approvables up to, and what you're approving is the column on the far right. The
Right.
whole column.
But what's the difference between the other two columns of numbers? There are two different ranges for each project.
It may have, I would suggest maybe add at the first column, maybe what they asked for.
Yeah,
And the second column, maybe what was approved by the grant, and then the third column is actually what we gave out.
I think that's correct. Let me double check on that.
That would make sense. And then how do we come up with the amounts? And I don't know that I feel strongly one way or another, but it seems like we decided that 5,000 was the max we were going to give anybody, regardless of how big the project was.
I don't remember that discussion.
I think it was a
Dan,
cap,
I'm calling you instead of
Was there?
Dan.
I think it was a cap on the album, Dan, I think it was a cap of $5,000 in the grant itself.
That would make sense as why the numbers would be there then. And I didn't have a strong feeling. It was just kind of wondering where it came from. So I'll take that. That seems like a reasonable explanation.
Okay,
Hey, I got Dan. Hey, Dan. are
we're
you-
just checking into that with the building department.
No, hey, for the home rehab grants, on the far right-hand side, you had 3 columns. That, the bold amount was how much we're recommending. The middle column looked like, I can't remember, what was the middle column you said?
I'm thinking it's what was allowable. So if you say, I want to get my house painted, your price may be $1,000. City may say, well, looking at it's only $900. So I'm thinking the second column may be what was actually
So the
approvable.
first column was maximum amount,
Go to request.
What they asked
And the
for.
second column is after the adjustment.
so 23, right? %, I got you. Okay, it's maximum request, 80% in our recommendation. Okay, hold on, don't go ahead. Did everybody get that?
Yeah.
I
So
did.
the left column,
Dan, the explanation is coming.
okay, so the left column was maximum amount that can be funded. The middle column was 80%, and the last column is staff recommendation. For example, on grant number 192770, the max they can receive is 2,300, where the 80% amount is 1,840, and we're recommending the 1,840.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I have a question. This is Dr. Jasper called. I had a quick question. With the maximum amount that's allowed to each individual, how do we determine the amount?
By each grant submission provided their worksheet on what they were planning to do with the grant monies, and then those are made. There was a schedule of what you could use the funds for. The grant applicants then submitted what they were going to use the money for. So we cross-referenced their project budget with what was allowable by the commission.
Okay.
So pretty much the 3 quotes that they get for example, the fence, it's pretty much an estimate.
That's correct. That's correct. And then we'll go back and before they get their receipt or their money, we'll go in and we'll justify, make sure that they provide the receipts and the correct documentation to get the grant.
And another question, I'm sorry, what is the turnaround time as far as them receiving their funds? Will it be a week, 2 weeks, or how does that process work?
Dan, how much time on there do they get to do the project?
I believe
12
on the
months.
application was 4 to 6 weeks, correct?
Okay,
Yeah, we'll get it back in 4 to 6 weeks from approval.
okay,
I guess that was my concern is, this is income based, so most people don't have $5,000 or $9,000 to shell out. So if I contract with a fencing company, they come do my fence, city comes out, everything's good. tell the fencing company, I'll get you a check in 30 days, to expect, residents to come up with $5,000 up front and wait on the city to give them a check back may be a little bit much. So I think as quickly we can get the money, once we say the fence or the roof or the paint job is done, I think quicker is probably the best in this condition. Unlike the business facade, we got a business owner, you probably can float 10,000, but a homeowner may have a difficult time floating $5,000 for 6 to 7 weeks. So I think the quicker we can do it, it'd be best.
These contractors know the city's involved, right? So they know we're good for the money. Probably think 30 days is reasonably okay.
Okay, any other questions on this item? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Roebuck,
Yes.
Commissioner Hurley,
Yes.
Commissioner Coney, Commissioner Felix,
Yes.
Person Dennison.
Yes. Any roll call on this item?
Peterson, Commissioner Peterson,
Do you have anything else to add?
I'm sorry, I've already told
Commissioner
you.
Christian,
Well, I'll say this on, first of all, three, I'm excited about the fact that we are able to add funds back to, communities and the CRAs, and I think it's gonna help contractors. So I think this is kind of Leesburg stimulus, helping, people work and also fixing up our neighborhood as we, pledged to do. So, it's almost $100,000 for 3 CRAs. So I think it's a wonderful thing that the city of Leesburg has done. And I hope we can make sure we advertise and publicize that the citizens of Leesburg are being benefited by what we're doing tonight.
Commissioner Roebuck,
Nothing.
Commissioner Hurley, Commissioner Felix,
No comment.
Commissioner Coney, Chairperson Dennison.
No, nothing tonight, thank you. Okay, that concludes the Greater Leesburg Redevelopment Agency. We will start again in 2 minutes on the next Carver Heights, Montclair.
You have the other members for the Carver Heights CRA on board?
Yes, Al, they both are present.
Okay. Welcome to the Carver Heights, Montclair Area Community Redevelopment Agency meeting. Today is Tuesday, May 26th. We have already had a call to order and an invocation and the pledge. So we'll approve the minutes. If I can have a resolution for that, please.
So moved.
Do we have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. Would you like to combine these?
Yes.
These are the minutes for September 12th and May 11th of 2020. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Peterson,
Yes.
Commissioner Roebuck,
Yes.
Commissioner Hurley, Commissioner Christian,
Yes.
Commissioner Jasper,
Yes.
Commissioner Connor,
Yes.
Chairperson Dennison.
Yes. Okay, we have 2 resolutions tonight. The first, would somebody like to introduce, please?
I introduce and recommend read by title only.
Thank you.
Resolution of the Carver Heights, Montclair Area Community Redevelopment Agency of the City of Leesburg, Florida, authorizing the chairman and secretary to execute a warranty deed in favor of Richard Hanford for development of a single-family home located at 2355 Misspaw Avenue in accordance with the infill housing program and providing an effective date.
Move for approval.
Second.
Thank you.
I second.
Okay, any discussion on this item?
Yes, Homes in Partnership, who is the builder on to this program, is a customer of mine, so I need to abstain.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hurley,
No.
Commissioner Christian,
I am on the board of Homes and Partnership, but I don't get any financial benefits, so I'm okay to vote, right, correct?
Yes.
Okay, then yes, definitely yes.
Commissioner Jasper,
Yes.
Commissioner Connor,
yes,
Commissioner Peterson,
Yes.
Chairperson Dennison.
Yes. Resolution 3B, would somebody like to introduce, please?
I introduced recommended by read by title only.
Resolution of the Carver Heights, Montclair Area Community Redevelopment Agency of the City of Leesburg, Florida, providing funding for the Home Improvement Grant Program for projects located within the Carver Heights, Montclair Area Community Redevelopment Agency area and providing an effective date.
Move for approval.
Second.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Discussion on this item. This is the same item that we just passed on the redevelopment agency meeting prior to this. So is there any other discussion?
Just for a point of order, Madam Mayor, Brad, I think Mr. Connors may need to abstain from this vote because he's a recipient of one of the grants.
That's correct.
No, sir.
Okay, yeah, he would have to stay.
Okay.
Okay, Andy, just don't count that vote. Thank you. Roll call.
Commissioner Roebuck,
Yes.
Commissioner Hurley,
No.
Commissioner Christian,
Yes.
Commissioner Jasper,
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson,
Yes.
Chairperson Dennison.
Yes. Okay, if there's anybody that would like to mention anything following this, Andy, roll call, please.
Commissioner
I would like
Christian?
to,
Go ahead.
Well, I just want to say, before Dr. Jasper gets in, I'm excited about the new home being built on this part. I think it's what we talked about years ago, partnering with Homes Partnership or affordable builders. I think it's great to see new home construction in the Carver Heights CRA. And I commend Al and his staff working really hard to make this happen for the city of Leesburg.
exactly.
Commissioner Jasper?
I was going to have the same sentiments as well. This is exciting to see some growth opportunities within that community, the Carver Heights community. And also, too, I was going to suggest, can we look into purchasing? There's a lot off of Beecher Street and also John Street. And maybe we can look into maybe getting the purchasing report or something about, there's a lot that's available there so that we can increase home development as well. That area is such an eyesore to the community, and I'm trying to clean up this community, and maybe we can just look into it. There's a lot. I think that Elks Lodge, I believe, owns that lot. Maybe we can look into that because it's such an eyesore to the community.
Thank you.
Commissioner Peterson?
We'll look into that. I'll report back to you.
The staff will look
Okay.
into Jasper.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Roebuck?
Just like to echo the thoughts on what a great program this this infill housing program is that we have with Homes in Partnership. I think that one of the biggest things we can do to improve our city is if we can transition from renters to owners. And that's not while it's a goal everyone would like to see, not everyone can afford that. So by working with Homes in Partnership, we're able to just donate the lots, but then the home buyers are, they're having a mortgage, they're paying it just like anyone else would. But we're able to do some creative things to get them in a home. And when people own their home, they take a lot better care of it than when they rent in general. So I'd like to see this program expanded, and I think it's a really great thing.
Exactly.
Commissioner Connor?
yes. I've been trying to find out why the city put a trespassing sign on a lot there on the corner of Miss Bar and Nebraska belongs to the Mount Olive Progressive Baptist Church.
I'll look into that. I don't have the answer.
Okay, Mr. Connor, Al Mitter will be looking into that for you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Hurley? Chairperson Dennison?
No, thank you. Okay. that ends that meeting. We will be moving immediately. I don't miss my paper. To the US 441 and 27 Community Redevelopment Agency meeting for May 26th. We have already had the call to order, the invocation, and the Pledge of Allegiance. We have one set of minutes to approve for September 12th, 2019. Would somebody make a motion on that, please?
Make a motion to approve.
Have a second, please?
Second.
Roll call, Andy.
Commissioner Peterson,
Yes.
Commissioner Roebuck,
Yes.
Commissioner Hurley. Commissioner Christian,
Yes.
Chairperson Dennison.
Yes. We have one resolution tonight. Would somebody introduce, please?
And this is recommended read by title only.
Resolution of the U.S. Highway 441-27 Community Redevelopment Agency of the City of Leesburg, Florida, providing funding for the Home Improvement Grant Program for projects located within the U.S. Highway 441-27 Community Redevelopment Agency area and providing an effective date.
Move for approval.
Second.
Is there any discussion on this resolution? This is the same resolution as the other two CRAs. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Roebuck,
Yes.
Commissioner Hurley. Commissioner Christian,
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson,
Yes.
Chairperson Dennison.
Yes. Final roll call, Andy?
Commissioner Peterson,
Nothing tonight.
Commissioner Christian,
Nothing.
Commissioner Roebuck,
Nothing.
Commissioner Hurley. Chairperson Dennison.
Nothing, thank you. This concludes this meeting. We will wait for 3 minutes and we will start our regular commission meeting.
We're gonna go outside again.
There you go. Especially if there's a nice.
You're all set
weather.
there.
Good evening. Today is Tuesday, May 26th. This is the Leesburg City Commission meeting. We have already had our call to order, our invocation, our pledge of allegiance. So we will move ahead with the agenda. Proclamations, none tonight. Presentations, none tonight. Public comments. This section is reserved for members of the public to bring up matters of concern or opportunities for praise. Issues brought up will not be discussed in detail at this meeting. Issues will either be referred to the proper staff or will be scheduled for consideration at a future city commission meeting. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Mr. Minner, do we have any comments tonight?
No, no, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move ahead to the consent agenda. Routine items are placed on the consent agenda to expedite the meeting. If the commissioner's staff wish to discuss any item, the procedure is as follows. 1, pull the item from the consent agenda. 2, vote on remaining items with 1 roll call vote. And 3, discuss each pulled item and vote by roll call. Do we have any items you wish pulled tonight?
I do. I have
Okay.
C3 and C5.
Okay, Commissioner Hurley. Thank you. We have a motion, please, to approve all other items.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Peterson,
Yes.
Commissioner Roebuck,
Yes.
Commissioner Hurley. Commissioner Christian,
Yes.
Mayor Dennison.
Yes. Resolution C3, would somebody like to introduce, please?
I introduce and recommend read by title only.
Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Leesburg, Florida, approving the First Amendment to Agreement for Section 8 Project-Based Voucher Program between Lake County Government and the City of Leesburg for 4 years through July 31st, 2023, and providing an effective date.
Move for approval.
Second.
Discussion, please.
Yeah. So I pulled this one. So the original idea with MISPA was, my understanding was to have it as kind of like a transition where we could have people renting there that eventually would become first-time home buyers. But with the Section 8 vouchers, that's not I guess a realistic goal because the incomes are so low to require for that getting into a first-time home buyer just doesn't happen. So I think we need to go 1 or 2 ways here. And the first would be to just continue to do the Section 8 because I'm sure there is a real need for the very low income that are there. And then, but then let's just say that our goal is with this project is not to put people in first-time home buyers because I don't think we should be giving staff a goal that isn't feasible. I suppose we could say we don't want the Section 8 and then we'll just subsidize as we see appropriate and use it for the first time home buyer type candidate as a stepping stone. I guess a third option would be to keep this and then maybe we could look at a smaller project that would be more suitable for getting people to become first time home buyers. Maybe like I spoke with Ken a little bit and he had the idea of a duplex where you could start on a small scale where rent was subsidized initially and that subsidy kind of went away. And then once you could build up credit history and, maybe go from $500 to $700 a month over time, then you'd be able to qualify for a mortgage and we could get them out of the duplex into the first time home buyer program. So, but I just thought I'd throw those things out there and then leave it up for discussion.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
All right, and I agree with Dan, Commissioner Roebuck on that, because Section 8 is a huge need. I think we noticed with the couple issues we had in Leesburg, the snow apartments where we had to immediately move people out because of raw sewage running down the street, or the ones off of Magnolia where the city's new pool where we had to really put people in someplace quickly. So I think that served a good purpose. It also gives us almost a guaranteed income but it does create a major issue of going from Section 8 to home ownership. So I would say to our staff, you know, the money that we accumulate yearly for Ms. Paul Simmons, that we just saw what we did with home partnership. I think Commissioner Jasper talked about in the CRA lots that we can actually take these funds, whether by vacant lots to expand the first-time home buyers program, or by duplexes where we can say something small and controllable, where we can say this person has an income, but they were able to save $6,000 to $7,000 over a year time of rent. Then we actually mark those people for a year or 2 years who have a little bit more income than Section 8. So I think we can use this program to facilitate some of the other goals that the city may have for first-time home buyers. I think there's a great need, but I do agree with Commissioner Roebuck that it is a big jump from Section 8 to home ownership. But I think that we can mitigate that a little bit, and we took some creative ideas, purchase some small duplex, 1 or 2, put people in, then get direct home ownership and monitor them, put their rent into IDA account and visual deposit account. We keep it as part of their rent that we help with the down payment within the city of Leesburg, preferable, but I think that's a great opportunity for the city of Leesburg.
Thank you. Mr. Peterson?
I'm fine.
Okay. Mr. Hurley?
I agree with Commissioner Roebuck. I'm not good with it the way it is.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Hurley. So does this mean in order to adapt that, because I actually like that procedure, do we have to make any changes on this resolution? We can go ahead and as is and set it up as we want it. Okay? You all right with that, Commissioner Roebuck?
Yeah, I would just like staff during the budget process to maybe work with the CRA board of kind of let's set up a new goal for the MISPOP project, you know, and let's just say what it is, and then kind of long-term goal of how we're going to think about getting people into a home buyer, and then we can discuss that during budget. But I'm okay with the program as is.
Thank you. I like that idea, and Commissioner Christian, that sounds like an excellent idea to start to develop the people in order to move them into home ownership. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Roebuck,
Yes.
Commissioner Hurley,
Yes.
Mr. Christian,
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson,
Yes.
Mayor Dennison.
Yes. Okay, C5, would somebody like to introduce, please?
I'll introduce, must be read by title only.
Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Leesburg, Florida, authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute Amendment 6 to an existing construction services agreement with Evergreen Construction Management, Inc. for services related to the Venetian Center for an amount of $82,692.85. Transfer $375,000 to complete other project tasks and providing an effective date.
Someone would like to move approval?
So moved.
Thank you. Discussion on C5, please.
So I pulled it 2 reasons. I guess one is a question for Fred. In the past, I've abstained from the contract with Evergreen because they're a customer. We now, however, are to the point where all the future work, I won't be selling them. Would I be able to vote on this, or do I still need to abstain?
I think you can vote on it. It's just a matter of squaring up the accounts for things that have already been done.
Okay. Well, no, well, these haven't been done yet.
Yeah, but I mean, they're minor items.
Right. Okay. And I won't get any business from these remaining ones anyways. Okay. And then the other one was just, I've said in the past, I think extending the fencing for that extra $168,000, I don't think that provides that much benefit. I think with the landscaping, it looks great as is. So if it were me, I would pull out the fencing and save the 168 and do the rest.
Anybody else? Mr. Minner, are you aware of that change? To change it to 168 and then take it as is? The work that was being done on the $300-some thousand.
You got, I'm not following how you phrase that question. Commissioner
Okay.
Roebuck's question
Commissioner
about taking
Roebuck,
out
would
the
you
50
repeat what you were saying, please? Not on your abstention, but
Right.
on the change of budget.
So my preference would be to remove the fencing and approve the remaining items. However, I don't, given the lack of a discussion there, I may be the only one who feels that way. So I'm not going to even make an emotional amendment if I'm the only one.
No, I guess I'm a little confused.
Yeah,
I guess I'm.
I can add clarity.
Okay.
Let me step back. So Mayor, you asked me a very narrow question.
Yes.
Let me go broad and then bring it back for you.
Okay,
Okay, so if you approve this item, essentially you're doing four things. One, you're approving a $75,000 allocation to put a formal sign in for the Venetian Center at the corner of Canal and Dixie. In so doing, what I will advise you is that if you approve that expenditure, I would delay that expense until we get into the downtown master plan, where the downtown master plan talks about an improvement at that intersection. So this just sets that money aside.
okay.
So if you were looking to kill something immediately to sell $75,000, that's the project I would kill now. That's not what Commissioner Roebuck's saying. I'll come back to that. I thought it would be prudent though to put that money in this budget, wait to get it done for efficiencies and design and those type of things, so we have a budget to pull back on. The second thing that this action does is we've dubbed it Finch Trail, $168,000. That $168,000 expenditure actually does two things. A, it finishes the Dixie fence. Remember, when we put the Dixie fence up, we stop at the western intersection of what then was Dozier Circle and Dixie, because, you know, there was the horseshoe design. So that fence never completely went across. And oh, by the way, the old community center was right in that area. So this concept, which the commission previously approved, was now that there's only one entryway in and out of the Venetian Center, is to complete that fence all the way across, because now there's only one entry point. That expenditure is going to be roughly about $135,000. The second expenditure that's married into this is to complete the trail. So the trail is the golf cart / walking / pedestrian trail that links Ski Beach all the way up to Dixie and Canal, where you can cross the road at. Right now, that trail is pretty much complete from Ski Beach up to Shoreline Drive and Dixie. So from Dixie, from Shoreline Drive across Dixie on the south side is where the trail needs to be completed to hook into the parking lot at Venetian Gardens, at the Venetian Center, so that there's a complete trail to the crossing point. Let me double check with DC on that number. So if you were gonna not do the fence, we still need an allocation in there to complete the trail. My guess is that's probably about 40 grand. So don't kill 168, only kill 40.
Well, actually, you keep mentioning 168. I see 82,000 on here.
On the yellow screen.
And by the way, Dan, I agree with
Yeah,
you.
82, you're looking at a different number.
Oh,
If you're looking at the staff transmittal under analysis, it's the second paragraph where I broke down the expenses.
I think you got that
And
one.
I didn't do it, and I'm doing it in backwards order here. Number 4 was the monument style sign, 74. Number 3 is the pedestrian cart trail and the decorative fence at 168.
You got the big one that's been in the.
Jake, the third item to be addressed in this is to screen the equipment at 32,326 on the roof. And then the fourth item is the sound tiles at 90,736.
And I do agree with Commissioner Roebuck on the fence. It's beautifully landscaped. I wouldn't want to spend the money
I
or.
figure out where you're gonna put it. I don't like, it looks so
Yeah,
nice.
it looks nice now. I had no idea what that was.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Thanks, Dan.
He didn't want that mic pulled up, and had that big one that's spinning.
What's that?
Once you download one that's spinning.
Yeah, and the problem is the resolution only reads 80-some thousand, so what are we voting on?
No,
Has the resolution changed?
no, the resolution.
Looks like not change.
You got an old copy of that before that now.
I know you're talking about the analysis right there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's 264. And while they talk about that,
The resolution should read, a resolution city commission, blah, 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 for services related to the Venetian Center for amount of 82,692. That's the number that's associated with Evergreen to close out their contract and to transfer 375,000 to complete other project tasks. And then the agenda transmittal breaks down the transfer and the projects.
But,
So Mike should be showing you.
so do we break down,
in
is the
the
fence
staff
broken
report.
down? Is it quantified in the fence alone? If we pull the fence,
If you pull the fence,
trail up.
I would leave money in for the
yeah,
trail.
yeah, I agree with that. I'm saying.
So
pull the
instead
fence
of
out.
killing the fence in the amount of 168, I think what you need to do is kill the fence, keep the trail, and give me about 35.
That's what I'm saying. I believe that's what Dan's saying.
Yeah, thanks for that, dude.
Okay, I need 40. I need 40 for the trail. So the fence is,
On 28.
yes. So if you want to kill the fence, kill 128 of that work.
Like we want.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to amend by removing $128,000 for the fence.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
And I'll
hold on,
second
Jay. Hey, Mayor, you have Commissioner Hurley who wants to talk.
Yes, definitely.
Go ahead,
Commissioner Hurley.
Commissioner.
For me, there's two things on here. I mean, I understand the money we're fixing to spend on the fence, but we just did a lot of money on things like that with the CRAs. And I think if we finish the project out, so I support that part of it. I do think that we ought to hold off on the sign. I don't have a problem with earmarking the money if we want to set it aside, but I agree with Al that we should wait and see what we come up with a master plan. And then my third one was, at best, I think we should table the discussion on the sound boards. I have 2 points of contention with this, just like John, both of us have been in every kind of building you can imagine with PA systems. And, to say we're going to put soundboards up for $90,000 and that's going to fix it I don't agree with that. It's just done too many sound systems. And I was offered the ability to go down, but my schedule, they got me traveling again, so I haven't been able to get in there with Tino, but I would like to show them because most of that's going to be done with EQ and speaker placement. And my second point of issue is, they knew what building was, they knew what the building material was. We did not go cheap when we put the sound system in. That was one of the things that John really pushed, was to have a quality sound system. And then now, we put in what they recommend, and we're gonna have to put another $90,000 worth of soundboards, which, if the EQ's wrong, still won't fix it, and then it's gonna change the looks of the building. So, I would definitely like to hold off on the sound system and see what we can do through some other sources before we go spending $90,000 for a hope.
And I would agree with you, Jay. I guess what the question I would bring up as I thought through this is, why did we not have a problem with the old building that was block and terrazzo floors? It's just hard to understand how we're having trouble here. Is that,
I had trouble hearing you because just,
okay. I was questioning how this system is, how we're having trouble with the new building after not having trouble in the old building that was block wall and terrazzo floor.
yeah, a totally different building to sound. And I'm not a sound expert by any
I'm not either.
But that building had low ceilings and they're all tile, drop ceiling, so
Okay.
you had a lot more sound absorption than you do now with the metal roof and the big cathedral ceilings and the glass.
The first couple of events I went to there, people did complain about not being able to hear. And I remember talking to a few people, it wasn't my idea, but I heard a few people say that one day you have to add some panels up here of some kind, spread them around. But, I'm sure not an expert in saying.
Where did this come from? The sound panels?
Let me dig up the number. Here's how we came up with the sound panel issue. When the issue first popped up, we went to a couple of different issues. We did a study with a professional sound guy who was recommended to us, who provided us with multiple solutions on how to address the sound. This is a professional sound person who did this recommendation. We then took his report and gave it to Evergreen for construction cost.
Well, me, I'm with Commissioner Hurley. I'm not a sound guy, but I sit in a lot of churches and I know what good sound sounds like. So for me, it's not a big deal to wait to get some more eyes and ears on it. 90,000 is a lot of money. I prefer we didn't put a bunch of panels and destroy the aesthetics of the building. So I'm not someone that hasn't voted on this tonight. We haven't been using it anyway. So I mean, if we have to wait a little bit to get another opinion, that's fine with me. But I think the sound is key, especially when people are paying the amount that we're charging the rent facility. They should have good sound quality. So.
Just to revisit, that was Keen Acoustics that did the report.
Yeah, I'm okay waiting on the sound and seeing if there's another solution.
Yeah, now just on this note, if the flavor of the commission is not to spend the 90 grand on the sound acoustic tiles, understand. I'm gonna tell you, I think that's probably the most reasonable solution that we've come up to date. I also understand the aesthetic and the cost issues that's associated with that number. So if the commission is directing us to go back to the drawing board, I would say, okay, we'll do that. There'll be no delay.
What is this going to look like? I mean, I can't visualize what we're doing.
You're looking kind of at a felt type of board that will be about 10 feet, 8 to 10 feet long, that will wrap around the top of the ceiling. Remember, so you've got a kind of a shed roof, right, in the ballroom where the walls come down. On the low side, you're probably looking at 12 foot. On the top side, you're probably looking at about 20 feet. And 10 feet is probably too big, so you're looking at 2 strips of 2 feet, so probably a 4-foot strip of sound material, which looks like a canvas with wrapped material around it that would be
like we can build that.
I mean, you helped me. I guess where I'm going with this is, I love the building, inside and out. I just don't want to do anything that's going to, take away from how nice the building is inside. That's all I'm saying. And I can't visualize it. An engineer to take us down this path. I just want to be sure we're doing it. Be sure it looks good. That's my comment.
And my question is, why is it costing so much more money? Wasn't the architect and the designers supposed to be providing the best available? And now we have to pay another $90,000?
I don't look, DC and I have had this conversation multiple times. Our opinion is, yeah, if you want me to answer, or Commissioner Hurley, Mayor, who do you?
Whichever.
Commissioner Hurley, the floor is yours.
Thank you. And I'm sorry, guys, I'm interrupting because I really have a hard time hearing everybody, so I hope I'm not stepping on whoever's talking. But another thing too, and I'm not trying to take away from the sound company that came in and did that, I understand that. But my experience has been a lot of those people, they're used to, auditoriums, or they're used to conference rooms and different things. things like that. Just like in the other building you were talking about, it had, acoustic seating on, yes, but it had terrazzo floors, which are really horrible for sound. So sound bounces, the theory of it, and why I'm saying it, you at least hold on. Back until recent years, churches were all cathedral ceilings, a lot of them were tongue and groove wood. You had stained glass windows and block walls. And so, setting sound for guys who are used to churches and those type of, vertical ceilings like that in that space, understanding how the sound bounces. You take somebody, no matter what we put in there, I'm telling you right now, if you put a speaker behind the guy who's talking, you're going to get feedback. I don't care where you are, it's going to happen because it's going to pick up the speaker behind you. We put speakers all the way down that wall. Every time we've had an event, people are standing out in front of it on the stage instead of the speaker being in front of them, facing them. The speaker that's going out to the audience is behind them. So, there's just all I'm saying is I get it, but I would like the opportunity to try to meet with Tino and to try to bring in a couple guys that are used to doing churches, new and old, and look at it before we pull the trigger on $90,000 and change everything that we worked so hard to, build in there with the ambiance of the design and all that.
Okay, so right now on the floor, we have the original resolution plus subtracting off $128,000. Now, are there any other amendments to this?
So the 90,000 for the sound.
Al,
Yes,
did you repeat what she said real quick to me, because I have a hard time hearing her.
the motion did they vote on the amendment yet?
No,
Okay, the motion on the floor is the resolution as written. There is an amendment that's being discussed to withdraw the 128,000 for the fence on Dixie.
Okay.
Now, you want the 90,000 off as
I
well?
would like to make a motion to withdraw the 90,000, so I need to wait till we vote on this motion first.
Unless Commissioner Roebuck will take a friendly amendment to withdraw the fence and the sound tiles in one vote.
Well, Commissioner Hurley wants to vote against my amendment for the fence, so it needs to be 2 votes. Yeah, Commissioner Hurley wants to keep the fence and only get rid of the tile. I want to get rid of both, so it has to be 2 separate votes.
Yeah, it should be 2 separate votes, Commissioner.
Okay, do I make it now, or do I need to wait till the vote?
Wait till the vote.
Okay, thank you.
Everybody done? I know I am.
Yes, ma'am.
Andy, roll call. This is on the original resolution.
So this would be
No, on
on
the Dan's amendment
Dan's amendment.
to take out the fence.
Yeah, aren't we supposed to vote on the first amendment, the first resolution first?
No, you vote on the amendment because you don't know what the resolution is going to be until.
Ah, gotcha, okay.
Neither amendment has a second
Second,
for
the fence.
the fence.
Yeah, we have
Okay,
to have
that's
a
the
motion on
128.
the
Okay.
tiles here.
So Commissioner Hurley?
If we're voting on the amendment, I'm no.
No. Hey, Jay, just to be clear, this is the amendment to remove the fence only.
128,000.
Yes, I do not want to remove the fence.
Okay, he's a no.
He's a no. Commissioner Christian?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
I'm voting yes, which means I am pulling the 128. Yes, yes.
Commissioner Roebuck?
Yes.
Mayor Dennison?
Yes.
Okay. All right,
You want
Jay, I don't know if hold on. You lost that amendment, so the commission voted 4-1 to pull the fence. If you want to make a motion now to pull the sound tiles, now's the time to do it.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to pull the sound tiles.
And I'll second that.
And he's doing that as an amendment to the original motion.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so my question, maybe Commissioner Hurley, can help me. So Al, if we kill the sound tiles and Commissioner Hurley goes, talk to Tino, we need to do some modifications, we have to come back and put in the budget, or would it be best to leave the 90,000, so Commissioner Hurley goes with Tino, says we found a better solution at 70,000, Can we do that, or should we just start all over?
Start
Start
over.
over, okay.
Now, that's what I would have done, but then you guys would have yelled at me saying, you give me a $90,000 blank check, but if it's too much to go to zero, and I'll come back.
We spent this much money on the community building, I don't mind a discussion or two on these $500 and getting it right.
Okay, this is for the next amendment, which is to remove the soundboards.
Commissioner Christian,
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson,
Yes.
Commissioner Roebuck,
Yes.
Commissioner Hurley,
Yeah,
Mayor Dennison.
Yes. Now, you want the original amendment?
Yeah, so hold, I'll get that for you and where you're at. Let me add these numbers. 8, 1, 2, it's 218 if my math is right. Okay, so instead of transferring 375, you need to transfer 218. So, if you just give me discretion to do that, so you don't have to redo the motion, I would recommend, that you keep the Venetian, you keep the Venetian Gardens dock at 150, keep that money there. And then I'll take the balance out of, the concession stand. So I'll lower those numbers to give you the number that you need to account for the loss of the project. So the motion would be to give Minner the authority to put back the boardwalk money and the concession stand portion of that funding, and to approve the project so that we can do the final amendment with Evergreen, hold 75,000 for signage, the 40,000 for the trail, and 32,326 for the roof screen. That's what you'd approve.
So have you got a total for us before we start to approve this?
Absolutely, Mayor.
And you wrote this down, Andy, what else is it?
No, I lost it.
I don't have the history you guys have with the whole building, so I'm a little confused. We pulled the fence at 128, we pulled the sound system at 90, I'm happy.
Okay, so you will be spending 75,000 for the sign, but you told me to hold off on that and do that as part of the Main Street Master Plan. You're spending 40,000 to finish off the trail and 32,326 to put the screen over the mechanical. So your total expense is 147,326, fundable between I tell you what, if you only need that much, why don't you put back in improvements, the Sleepy Hollow basketball court, the Sleepy Hollow concession stand, and the boardwalk, and then suspend the Susan Street, which will give you 150.
I think I'm going to suggest we pull this item until it's straightened out as a new resolution.
Oh, no, please don't. It's really not that complicated.
Yeah, just go back over one more time.
You've done 147,000. We're asking you to do $360,000 worth of stuff. You've authorized 147,000. So what you'll do is you'll do a change out for Evergreen, and then you've authorized 75,000 for the sign. You've authorized 40,000 for the trail, and you've authorized 32,326 for the equipment screen. That's a total expenditure of 147,326, and you can pay that by delaying the Susan Street improvement project. And that was $150,000 that we put away for a potential grant that has not blossomed yet. So I would recommend that you use that transfer money.
Okay, would somebody like to clean up that resolution and let us vote on it?
City Manager,
Okay,
this is Mike Thornton.
go ahead, Mike.
The resolution for the Evergreen change order is no longer needed if you're pulling out the 90,000. Because all that remains is the mechanical screen, which can be covered by their balance of contingency.
Okay. So let's do this. Why don't you kill the motion on the floor? And then I'll make a recommendation to you on the motion that we need.
So you want both motions pulled because we haven't done the other one yet?
No, you're on a motion now to do this amendment that's all hodgepodge.
Exactly.
Okay, so just kill that. Okay, so you kill the whole thing with a vote. Then I'll make a recommendation to you on another motion to make that will tie all this up.
Fred, is this all legal?
Yes. I don't know that you really needed a resolution anyway, but the evergreen, which Mike says you don't need.
Okay. So we don't need either of those amendments either.
No, if you kill this, then Al will tell you what he wants authorized to spend, which can be done by vote.
Okay, we're going to vote to kill the original resolution. Correct?
Or you just vote on the original resolution as modified and vote no.
Yeah, both of the amendments passed, so you just vote once to vote down the resolution as amended. You're back to
That's it.
square one now.
Okay. Andy, roll call, please.
Commissioner Peterson,
No. Thank you.
Commissioner Roebuck,
No.
Commissioner Hurley, Commissioner Christian.
No.
Mayor Dennison.
No.
All right. Now, since the commission with their wisdom killed this resolution for understandable reasons, would you please instruct the city manager to add to the Venetian Gardens facility project, $75,000 to be spent on a sign
Budget.
That's the budget.
allocated. And that's to be held off on, $40,000 to complete the trail, and $32,326 to complete the screening around the equipment. To be funded by canceling the Susan Street Improvement Project in the amount of $150,000.
Okay, but the 40 and the 32 only add up to 72,326.
You've authorized three projects.
Signs.
$75,000 for the sign, you've allocated, but you told me not to spend it. You've recommended that you spend $40,000 to finish the trail and complete that project. And you've recommending $32,326 to do the screen and to do that project.
For a total of 147,326.
Bingo.
Okay. Did everybody follow that? I know you did in here. Commissioner Roebuck and Commissioner Harley, did you follow that?
All good.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. And sir, roll call, please.
I make a motion that we accept Al's recommendation.
Second.
Commissioner Roebuck,
Yes.
Commissioner Hurley,
I'm sorry to hear, but was Commissioner Christian, it was his motion or John on Al's recommendation?
Yes.
Yes, I'm a yes.
Commissioner Christian,
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson,
Yes.
Mayor Dennison.
No. Okay, we're moving to public hearings and non-routine items. First is the COVID-19 commission update.
Okay, I handed out, let me turn on Commissioner earlier. Just to get you up to speed and get some feedback. Here's where we are with reference to the meetings that we sit in on, how things look like they're transpiring. So on reopening city facilities, trying to target a date of that for June 15th. Those facilities which we think are about ready to reopen are City Hall, the MOC, which is building and planning and zoning next door, the gymnasium, and the resource center. Before we open those facilities, we're waiting on the permanent plexiglass petitions to come in.
Any date on that?
It should be about June 15th. I'm about 2 weeks out, so I'm pretty close to that. With an expenditure of about $5,000, which is in my authority to approve. So we'll shift the funds around accordingly. We also have Mike Thornton working on touchless sanitizer stations for the public as well as staff. We'll be getting floor markings down for 6 feet separations, and workstations are set up on proper distances, and we've got plenty of protective personal equipment for those type of administrative stuff. So, and that's hand sanitizers, masks if the employees so choose to use them, gloves, those type of things. Probably about a 6-month supply on that. So we feel pretty comfortable there. The next issue is libraries moved into a little bit of a different category. So Lucy has recommended to me to open the library June 1 with a maximum capacity of 50, which is still substantially below her number of capacity. But with that number, staff included, with the precautions that we put in, we feel like we can social distance at that number, although it's above the 10. Public Works, gas and electric. We used to allow the public to go to those facilities if they've had questions. We're going to say in the future to eliminate that. Most of those folks who go to those facilities can come to City Hall or other areas where we're making precautions permanently to protect staff and the public. If you have that type of business, you can come to City Hall and you can call in. There's not a need to go to the Public Works HQ or Gas HQ or Electric HQ on Griffin Road. And that protects the public as well as staff. Recreation, a bunch of different things. June 15th, we are going to slate and recommend opening the gym with the governor's new directive that came out on Friday, which opened up recreational programming and a lot of kid activities. We're going to say we're ready for our summer programming to start by June 15th. That would consist of to start the Pop Warner football season, but we'll start out with no contact drill, cardio, exercises, keep the kids spaced out as much as we can until the regular season will start into August. That'll also give us some time to work on that. Open all restroom facilities by the 15th, and then open the swimming pool, which is Dabney for now, which would be opening it for open swim lessons and swim team by the 15th. And we feel like we're in a good position to do that as well. Pat Thomas Field, a little bit different there. We don't have any activities there, but the Lightning does. So we'll recommend that you open Pat Thomas Field, and we'll work with the Lightning authorities on what they're doing as far as bringing in patrons and that kind of stuff. So right now we would say go ahead and open it for June 15th. That will allow the baseball players to practice and do their drills, which is similar to what the Major League guys are doing now. Their first slate of games is starting for June 29th. So I'd hold off on okaying that. That gives us another good month to see where we're at on that, and for us to work with the Lightning staff to come up with some social distancing parameters. At the Venetian Center, we did go ahead and we canceled the program, and this is Venetian Centers in Roger Park. We did go ahead and we moved to cancel events through June 15th, and we're still a little hesitant to open that facility until we get a little bit better parameters on the social distancing of 10. So that probably looking like that may be the last facility to open. And then just as operational matters, on June 15th, we'll return to work fully. We still have about 75 employees out working remotely. I think by then we'll have parameters in place to bring everybody back to work. We will still recommend you keeping special conditions in for those who are vulnerable populations, like those who are 65 and older who still work with us, or those who are taking care of vulnerable populations. We amended our travel policy to match the current restrictions. So basically we have a swath that runs from Clearwater to Daytona, kind of up and down the I-4 corridor, where if an employee is traveling to that outside of a work parameter, you can go ahead and travel to those areas. If you go outside that, we're asking that you notify your supervisor, who will then get with the department head, the HR director, and myself, and we'll make a determination on that. So for example, if somebody says, hey, I want to go to New York City, the answer is probably going to be, we recommend not, but if you do, we'll have a strict social distancing that will require for you based on your job classification and where you travel on whether we determine that's an okay travel. And then the third point of that is we're still saying no to cruises and international travel, which matches the CDC. Moving into utility operations, we're going to recommend that we develop a payment plan that goes into effect probably mid-June, that everybody who is behind work with Paul Austin down in customer service to come up with a payment plan. We'd like all of everybody to catch up by December 31st. We're going to recommend that you resume the cutoff policy by mid-June. Also on that, if you think that that's too early, we think it's best to implement the cutoff by in the middle of the month. So if you don't want to do June, then we'll recommend July. We're going to say on the late fees, we're still going to recommend that you hold off on reinstitution of late fees just to help folks out and to reconsider those with the power cost adjustment. We have the power cost adjustment scheduled to go now through June. So we'll get back to you on mid-June on as those numbers are firmed up, what our financial report looks like that. When we put that into place for May and June, we were hopeful that it was, we would get to continue it for the end of the year. I'll have more data on you for that, the June 9 report at the next meeting. And I did think when I got staff Paul's report on this, he did say staff was very positive and good spirits and ready to kind of get back to work. So I thought that was good to tell the commission. So I'm excited that everybody's looking forward to getting back to work. Those are the easy decisions that came from me to you. So I think those are easy recommendations to move forward with. The next one is 4th of July. And the partnership is ready to get some stuff going for 4th of July. I think the 4th gives us a little more difficulty because there's some question on the social distancing perimeters and bringing in larger groups of people. I think that's complicated because of other regional cities who have canceled early, probably going to attract more people to your event than you may want, even though we may be ready to say, hey, if all those in Leesburg come on down to Ski Beach and enjoy the fireworks and some events. I think that is now opened up to the larger region, because when you consider cities like Ocala, Orlando, Apopka, Tavares, Mount Dora, Altamont, all those folks have canceled. And I think folks are antsy to mingle. We probably need to consider the same. However, I would really encourage the commission to delay this decision as long as you possibly can. I had a conversation with Joe Shipes about this, and my recommendation to Joe was to sit tight. Joe has been in touch with our fireworks distributor. Their drop dead decision date they need is June 15th to no go on the fireworks show. Your next meeting, I believe, is June 9th. So that is June 8th. So that gives us that and plus a day where we can probably throw together an emergency meeting if you want to discuss it. So my thinking right now is we probably are going to be able to do some event come July 4th. My guess is maybe have a concert, keep people social distance. I think some of the stuff like the bounce houses and the face painting, up until Friday, that didn't seem like a good idea. So I think that's kind of in limbo. So I would recommend to the commission, let's just sit tight, make no decision. I think that's the best decision, and let time pass a little bit to give us more info on what we can and can't do. So I wanted to get some direction on that, specifically July 4th, and make sure the commission was okay with the other phases of the reopening that we're putting in place.
Question on this, especially the city facilities, the library, and the recreation buildings. Has a cleaning program come up to extra cleaning in the bathrooms and everything else?
Yeah, we'll do that twice a day versus once a day. We have a little more control over that now because it's internal.
Right.
We made that change a few months ago. So we will continue to do extra cleaning.
Okay, thank you.
And let me point out too, the extra cleaning, the sanitary stations, and arming our employees with the disinfectant.
Thank you very much.
I said a question on utility operations. I was curious, how are we doing on past dues?
About 2 weeks ago, the number was about 800,000 in delinquencies since we instituted this stuff. So that's about since March 16th. So that number's smaller than I thought. I could get you closer of an update.
how does it? What would you
What's our
think?
typical past due this time of year?
I don't have a typical past due. What I thought it'd be in the seven figures by now. So it's less than I thought, because I thought, we'd be in this for about 3 or 4 months and end up around 5 million. And so I'm in this a month and a half at 800. My guess is you're probably, in our estimate was that you would get, of the 800, you get half of it back, through the payment plans. I don't think you'll get the full amount back. So go to your question, where I know you're gonna ask me next, is what's that gonna look like when it comes to you in the write-offs? Typically we're writing off 400. So if we nip it here around that $1 million mark, I would think you'll probably see your write-offs double.
You knew I was, brought this up before. We know there's people that needed help, or people in trouble. I also suspect there's people who are taking advantage of this, and that's, how do we skim this?
I think I will,
I want people to know they're gonna have to catch these up.
that is our point. Jim Williams, our finance director, would encourage that we end these programs as soon as we can. I would encourage that we probably aren't eye to eye on that. I still think that people are in tough times. You still got 28% unemployment out there. I don't want to see that number get big. It's still not as big as I think. So the way we have it prefaced with starting to cut off sooner will hopefully get people paying now and get them in to start getting on a payment plan. And then maybe if you let them know the late fees linger probably into July, you've done a good day's work. You still help people.
Yeah, I'm not interested in late fees. I just, want people to understand there's going to be a day of reckoning. They're going to have to catch these up. I'm afraid I have concerns with a lot of people out there that are taking advantage of the program like this.
I won't disagree. I think people probably have taken advantage. Hopefully more than not have gotten a benefit from it and will square up with us. And as if the will of the commission is to end cutoffs, which is to continue, let me be clear on the recommendation, is to end cutoffs June 15th, but continue no late penalty for another few weeks, and I'll come back to you on that. That will force people, as Commissioner Peterson, with his concern is doing, into getting in and getting on the books as far as setting up a repayment policy, and we'll stretch that out to the end of the year, and at least then we'll get them on the books. And so then by June, July timeframe, you'll have a feel for how many people have come in and started to get real with squaring up.
In my last comment, I wouldn't care if we put the cutoff for non-payment back to July 15th, just to be help people out a little bit more, provided they understand there is a day of reckoning. I can communicate that. Just put it in their electric bill, and we'll read it.
Just to be blunt, it won't be realized until it's in effect. So in that case, you might want to be.
So that's why you
sooner rather. That's what
that'll bring them out.
At least set it up.
And then you're easing into it with saying, okay, we're going to cut you off again effective June 15th. Get on your payment plan. We're going to cut you off again, but you're not whacking them with late fees yet.
I agree with that. Thank you.
So it kind of eases into it.
And that was kind of what I was going to ask. And I think once you set the time, so when customers come in and do the repayment, they're talking to our staff about their financial condition. So if a person comes in and pretty much, I don't have a job, hasn't had a job since COVID-19, you don't have people that's going to take advantage, but there's still some people who are going to be underemployed and unemployed. So I think the June 15th will start weeding those people out. And then I guess it goes to the next point. So what are we as a city doing at that point to those people who are legitimately still struggling? There were people who were struggling before COVID-19 hit. So now, what are we as a city? We talk about $800,000. We're going to get most of that back. The ones we don't get back are people who generally just couldn't afford to pay.
Right. The first step is getting everybody established on their payment plan. That hopefully that'll weed out where the things that we discussed. The next step is we still have the $50,000 plus the other help monies that we set aside. So we're probably sitting on $65,000 to help people with payments initially. Now through that program, those help programs, we go out to the different church organizations and other assistance programs that do that. They screen the individuals for the utility assistance. They give us indication. John Smith gets $100, and then we cut it from that account. So we do have about $65,000 that's in a pool to help those with utility billing and payment. So that should go a little way.
I'm just trying to learn something here. Is that money we set aside or does that come from the state or federal government?
Hey, Commissioner Hurley, I heard you. Let me get this question from Commissioner Peterson answered. That the money is money we set aside from two banks. Each year we put about 15,000 aside from that as our help program, and we transferred the solar money from FNPA, which was 50 grand, to beef that up to prepare for it. So that is city money. Commissioner Hurley?
So, for me, there's 2 points. I mean, on the aspect of the election bills, I mean, I understand where Commissioner Peterson's coming from. I mean, there are a lot of people that are unemployed, right? If you look, also, I know there are people who like their unemployment, that they added an extra $600 on it, and now we're starting to see people who don't want to come back to work because they're making more money on unemployment than they are by not going to work. So, you know, I'm definitely in favor of knocking it off by the 15. They also had stimulus checks that came out along with their unemployment. So I have no problem waiving late fees, but I think that we need to get it to 15 and get it where people start getting back on plan, start understanding it's time to start paying the bill. As far as hopefully, sounds good to me.
Okay. Okay, thanks, Commissioner.
Do you have anything else on your update?
No, and
Yeah.
if the consensus is good.
Sorry, I had a couple comments on the utility thing. I guess my main concern is that I worry that December as a workout date is going to be too aggressive for some people. The idea that you take potentially 3 months of non-payment and try to cram it into 6 months. I don't want to say, you know, let everyone have a year, but I think you're going to have scenarios where that's going to be appropriate. And the goal should be to, you know, not shut people's utility off, but also get the city's money back. So I think I would just like staff to have the discretion to go out further than December on a case-by-case basis, assuming payments are, you know, are being made and people are working in good faith to pay off those past due amounts.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay. We all agree with that.
Well, when you give me discretion, you know I love it.
I think that's great, Dan. Thank you.
Dan, thank you. Then we all agreed with that here as well. Okay. No informational report. City attorney items.
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
Thank you. City manager.
Yeah, I'm gonna say no, the only thing I want to add in there I could have probably done this on the COVID report. In any case, we did, Dan Miller and I got together. We are gonna bring forth some planning and zoning cases that we think can get processed without major controversy so that we can get that engine starting up. Some of the ones that are of controversy, such as number 2 road, so the Nacoye subdivision, and there's some other ones on Sunnyside. We're going to continue to hold those off till you can have a bona fide public hearing. Our hope is to start these to get processed, get planning and zoning meeting again, have some of this stuff come to the commission, and then hopefully the other stuff will lift, and then we'll get back into business as normal. So we'll start processing some planning and zoning cases that we think are easily processed.
I went by the housing community today on 48 right behind Legacy, and that's moving along really well.
It is.
Yeah. So that's a go. Okay, thank you, Mr. Minner. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hurley, Commissioner Roebuck,
Nothing tonight.
Commissioner Peterson,
Nothing tonight.
Commissioner Christian.
Did get a text message from Betty Coney. She apologizes, Madam Mayor. She said she's having technical difficulties, but she was on the call. So she apologized to the commission for not being able to communicate with us. And I also want to say to Al Miller and his staff, I made a complaint about a year ago about our HR application not being in 21st century. Al, I had opportunity to go to our HR application and you can walk everything through. You can submit it without even having to leave. So kudos to you and your staff, Al, for getting us up to that place where people won't have to come in. I think we lose good candidates. We have to drive all the way to Leesburg to submit applications, so they do everything online. So thanks to Al and his staff.
Mayor Dennison.
Just two things. First of all, congratulations to Lakefront TV and the principal Randolph at Leesburg High School for developing the celebration of graduation for the students. By the way, there will be a graduation this year, so that is one thing that has not been canceled.
Yeah, Saturday, June 13th.
Saturday, June 13th, there will be a graduation ceremony for the seniors at Leesburg High School. And fed in between that will be the speeches and whatnot, which will not be done in person, but they will be done on the recording. Secondly, I attended a bullying meeting at Leesburg High School last Tuesday. And this was regarding the information which is going on the next manned flight out of New Mexico. And then on 2021, it will be on the moon landing launch, which will be going to the moon. And the information as far as the proclamation and pictures and books and whatnot from Leesburg will be remaining on the moon surface. So that's pretty exciting. Not only are we at the top of the Himalayas, but we're also going to be on the moon. So Leesburg is moving ahead. That's it for me. Thank you. Anything else? Do we have an adjournment?
Motion adjourned.
We are adjourned.
Good night, everyone.
You too.
John.